I am on mute. Hello, everyone. I was on mute and I forgot.
That's my fault.
Chris push mute. Usually I'm in here by myself and I don't even bother pushing mute because I figure I'm quiet as a mouse, right? Not. And we were having some technical difficulties this morning. So anyways, welcome. Good morning. I'm Gina Bulow coming to you from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, where I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I have Karen and Carmen and Cindy and Mary and under a pile of papers from Sweden. Hello. And Miss Mary Lemke, all here this morning. Welcome, ladies. Let's see, what do I have for you guys today? It's a little bit chilly out today, which is kind of nice. We have one of the kitties taking a drink out of the sink this morning. So today's class is the technique class, and we will be doing some different takes on the iridescent treat bags. So that's what I have coming this morning. A few announcements before we get started. Let's see, I have Carmen, you've not seen my hair down. It's so long. Yes, you guys are pretty much know that I wear my hair up all the time. I am a hot box all the time. So I like my hair up off my face and off of my neck. And it was actually cool enough today to actually, I'm like, I think I'll wear my hair down today. Now, I promise it'll probably be up after I leave here. But for today, you guys get a down version of my hair. Hi, Sil, coming from Southeast Texas. So yeah, a little bit different. It got cool enough where I'm like, ooh, I can wear my hair down. We'll see how long that lasts though. So, few announcements. Today through tomorrow yet is the kit sale. So up to 30% off of kits. So check them out. And also don't forget about our starter kit special. Now I misspoke on our last video and I said you can get $99 for $35. Nope, I was wrong. You get to pick $125 worth of product for $99 or $189 for $99. So it is a fabulous time to join our community of stampers, and I would love to have you join my team. And when you join my team, you join the Be Happy Stampers team too. So
And what's your goal?
my goal, so this year I started a boot camp training that I am doing, and I have some goals this year. So I'm looking to bump up to Silver Elite, and I am working my way to earning the incentive trip. Our incentive trip is to Costa Rica, so that is my goal. So hopefully I can join Chris and Tyler on that journey and some of our other teammates here. So those are my goals. They say them out loud so that you're held accountable. So I am doing that. Also tutorials. I've been working on those, getting those out. Now I have changed those a little bit to help streamline it and make it easier for me to get them out to you. So they're not going to look like they always did. I kind of have cut out the instruction part, but you'll have all the dimensions for everything and all the products that I use. And you can always go back to my videos if you have a question about how I assembled something, or if there's a really special instruction that you need to do, I'll note that in a comment on my tutorials. But I want to be able to find a way that makes it easier for me to get them out to you, because they do take quite a bit of time to type out, and I know I'm backlogged on them, so I'm trying to stay with the current ones and go back and get the other ones out to you. So I'm just trying to find a way to streamline it. The most important thing I feel is that you guys have all the dimensions and stuff so that you can recreate. And I am laying them out in my tutorials according to how I do my videos. So you'll be able to quick reference. This is card number 2 that I did, so you can fast forward in the video to wherever you need to look at something. So if any of you have any questions about that though, please reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Now, the easiest way to find me is if you go to my Facebook page, Glitter and Ink with Gina, make sure you're liking my page and following my page. That is where I keep everything updated. And my email is ginaalbulo@gmail.com and my phone number. So those are the 3 places that I can find, that you guys can find me. So if you ever have questions, these are the places. You can message me on Facebook also. So Miss Mary, you're getting your tutorials. Yay. Angelique is here. And Sandy, you have liked and shared. And while I am thinking of that, I have a door prize to do for those of you who liked and shared my videos from the other day. So let me double check one thing. And Annette is going to be our poll taker here. So, hold on, let me find my, pick a number 1 through 5, Annette.
1 through 5?
Yep.
4.
Number 4 is Jenny Knudsen. So Jenny, you're going to have to reach out to me with your information on how to get your prize from me. So, thank you for liking my videos and sharing them. I appreciate that. So Sandy, thank you this morning for getting right on top of that. Oh my goodness. Technology is not, there we go. Now I'm up and running. Make sure I can see your comments. So we're going to do that again. Make sure you're liking and sharing my videos. And you also have to make sure that you let me know that you are sharing my videos. So either comment in this video, or I always post my videos on my Facebook page, and then you can comment under that post too. So thank you, thank you. So what else do I have for you guys? So we did the special for joining. There's 30% off right now, or up to 30% off right now for kits. I do have a couple kits that I still have kits for. So if anyone would like these kits, so I have a few kits yet. I did the World Card Making Holiday Buffet. So these kits are available. You get all 6 cards. And we have shipping next week. So if you are interested in getting these shipped with your shipment here, these are the 6 cards. So this is the World Card Making Holiday Buffet. Good morning, Yvonne and Deanne. Welcome, ladies. And I also have a few more of the Fall Card Buffet that I did in the end of August into September. So these are the cards for this. So if anyone is interested, I have a couple kits of each available. So reach out for all the details. And who is ready to have some spooky fun today? I am. You need the holiday, Mary. Okay, I will put that on there. Yvonne, you're loving my hair. Thank you, guys. You guys have noticed I always wear it in a ponytail. So I'm not wearing it in a ponytail today. So the treat bags, here we go. They come in a pack of 20. They're iridescent, so pretty. And I think they're 4 by probably 6 is what size they are. And so I'm going to show you different ways to use these today. So we have a little treat box we're going to make. We're going to do, it's on the background here. I don't know how well you can pick that up in the camera. There you go. But we're going to do kind of a, I guess I call it more of a shrinky-dink technique. And then we're going to emboss the bag. And we are going to make a shaker card. Carmen, the buffets are each $32. So we've got a little shaker here. So let's see what's first up that I pull out here. Okay, we are doing this one first. Thank you, Cindy, for sharing. Okay. Now note in these kits that you're going to have, I think for 2 of this card and am I missing a card? Yes, it's hidden under my box. Okay, both of these cards are going to have 2 pieces of white cardstock in there. And so just note, one is smaller than the other, and one is for your inside, and the smaller piece is going to be for your outside. So see, they're going to be like this. So they're going to be like 1/4 of an inch off. So just keep in mind when you get these kits. Okay, we'll burnish our edges here. And so we're going to take that treat bag. So in your kit, you're going to get 3 treat bags. And then this one here, Angelique, you have the holiday buffet on your list. And you're going to just take your scissors and you're going to cut right here on the seam. And don't worry if you don't get it exactly perfect, because you're not going to see the edges on one card, and this one we're actually going to cut the bag down with our trimmer. So don't worry if you don't get it exactly perfect. Okay, and then you can use your trimmers for this line here, or I'm just going to freehand it like that. Okay, so now you have 2 pieces. You're going to bring in your trimmer, and I believe I have this cut at 3 3/4 by 5. So the one thing you want to make sure that you do, I'm going to make sure look at which side I cut better. I think this side. Okay. So you just bring in your trimmer and be careful that you're not like bending it, and you guys probably can't see that you're not pushing it, you know, where you've got a wrinkles. This is will give it a nice straight line. Right there, and then we're going to cut this at 5. So you'll have this extra piece that you could do something with if you want to put it behind a label and or, you know, cut something out with it. So you'll have that little piece left. Sandy, you have so many kits to catch up on. Oh, I get you, girl. I think we all do, right? So then you'll have to pick an embossing folder that you have at home. I'm using the dots. So we got these circle dots here. You could use waves or any folder you want. Place it in your folder. I need more room up here. You need your large plate and your gray plate. And you're just going to run it through like that. And then you have this beautifully embossed iridescent paper. It's so pretty. Okay, so now, yeah, you can emboss cellophane. How fun is that? And it's just so pretty. So now with the holidays coming, you could do this with treat bags with like snowflakes or whatever you have at home. So how fun is that? So I know that I'm going to be covering up this portion of my card. So I'm going to put a little liquid glue right there on my card so that you don't see any of the glue coming through. So kind of like vellum, you know how vellum we get and the liquid glue will show through. And then you just line it up like that. And now this can get adhered to your smoky slate piece. And do be careful. I press this down and until your glue dries. If you use a tape runner, that's fine, but your cellophane will slip a little bit at first, so just be careful that you're watching that when you adhere it to your card. Okay, now the rest is easy, right? Okay, that was the hardest part of the whole card. So you got this cute little, I had all these left over from doing the sampler classes, and I need to use them. So she is joining us on this card. And then I'm going to put a little liquid glue more towards the bottom of my web here. I'm going to leave the tip of it without adhesive, and part of that is going to go off of my little tombstone here. These arches make a great little tombstone. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut off the excess. So there is your web there. Then this is going to get ink on it, and I should probably put some Wink of Stella on here because we all know everything is better with a little bit of Stella. And we're going to Stella up our spider. And I should have done my web beforehand, but there we go. So what I'm going to do to pop my ink up is I'm going to use the edge of my dimensionals and just cut off a little sliver. And get little strips here. Whoa, that one went flying. For this class, Sandy, you will need this. You could actually use any Halloween stamp set, or if you don't want it to be Halloween, this one comes with the kit. So the two things that you would need to stamp in this kit are the cute little Frankenstein here and the cat. But if you have something else at home where, you know, let's say you have the haunted house, you could put that here. Or if you have an older stamp set of something else, you could substitute these two things. So those are the only two things that you really need the stamp set for, and this background, but it could just be a white label if you wanted it to be too, or you could sponge on it Gorgeous Grape. So like I said, these two are really the only things you need the stamp sets for. Everything, but they can be substituted with other things if you have something at home. So just keep that in mind. And what I do when I send these kits out is you get a rectangle piece that would fit these things on there. So if you don't have these stamp sets at home, you could substitute with anything else that you have. Good morning, Julie. Gave me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. It's always a good morning when I'm stamping with all of you. And you all get to see what not to do at home, because I usually oopsie on something. Okay. See, I almost put my econ upside down. So we've got our eke, and then I have our black marker. Now, if you don't have a Stampin' Write marker, you could use a Sharpie, you could use a black pen, whatever you have at home. And I'm just gonna bring in a ruler, and I'm gonna use the finer tipped end. And under my K here, I'm just gonna draw a little line that our spider has climbed down and made his web. And this is where your black dimensionals really come in. So this spider is a little bit small for a dimensional, but if you put a black dimensional on here, you don't even see the dimensional at all. I think I'm gonna put it a little bit higher. Okay, so now this is ready to get popped up on your card. And we'll tuck this over here on the right. How many of you send out Halloween cards? Just curious. I know some people could take or leave Halloween. I have to say I miss the days of my kids being little and enjoying that part of, I'm more of a cutesy Halloween. My, yes, Sandy, those are mini dimensionals. My kids are more into let's go to haunted houses and things like that. I don't dig that as much, but that's what they like now. But I like dressing them up as, you know, Buzz Lightyear and princesses. My husband likes all the creepy, gory, scary stuff of Halloween. So we're gonna make a bow here. Kind of squash that end of my bow here. Wow, we're gonna make a new bow. How's that sound? Did not like that one at all. This one looks much better. So I felt like I needed a little something where we cut that spider web off. So I thought the bow would be a perfect touch. Especially since this card is all girly. So it goes right there, and then check out these foam stars. So they come in black, petunia pop, and white. And I'm going to use the white ones this time. Isn't that cute? Look at all that shimmer from that iridescent paper. So then on the inside, we're going to put Happy Halloween. I wish there was a little spider in this set, but we're going to do bats. And the bats. And you guys are going to see me, instead of using Memento black ink today, we're using Secret Sea because I feel that Secret Sea is the new black. So I hope that one day they bring Secret Sea from an in color to a regular, part of the regular line of colors. Every once in a while they will do a color refresh and update the colors. So I'm hoping one day Stampin' Up! Will realize what an amazing color this is, and it'll be available all the time.
Everybody put it in the suggestion box.
Yes, put it in the suggestion box if you're a demonstrator. So we're going to put these bats like that. And look at how nice and crisp. I'm going to show you guys something. You'll see the difference when we stamp this later. But I use this one in Memento, and you probably can't tell on screen, but it's not a clean, crisp image where stamping with Secret Sea, it's beautiful. Nice, crisp, dark image. Now you can also use a white ink pad. So they come uninked, the white ink pads do, but they come with an ink refill for you to add your ink to your ink pad yourself. But instead of inking it with white, you could ink it with Memento. Some people like that too. So there's card number 1. Card number 2. We're going to use that other piece of our bag that we cut. And we're not going to cut it down or anything. Remember, you're going to have 2 white pieces, one larger, one smaller. Now we're going to bring in our heat tool. So you see how nice and smooth this is? You're going to bring in your heat tool. And I'm keeping it on my glass mat. Hopefully I don't get things too hot here. And it is going to wrinkle up like a shrinky dink and shrink up. And I'm moving my heat tool in different directions, like in a circular motion. And the longer you heat it up, so you can see it's getting all just wrinkly and curly. And I'm going to do it on both sides. That'll keep my edges from curling up too much. And the longer you do this, the more, I guess, wrinkly it will get. Shrinky dink, yes, I know. How many of you have done shrinky dinks before? Remember, that was such a fun thing to do when I was a kid. So now you have this, you know, wrinkled up, bubbly kind of image to this. So all we're gonna do with this now is put our white in the middle, and we're gonna fold it over. You could cut it if you want, but I just find it's just as easy to wrap it around. Your mind didn't go there, Julie? Yeah, so just different ways to show you guys how to use all of this. You know, you don't have to just use it as a treat bag. And I have a little extra in the corner, so I'm just gonna take my snips and cut that off. Fold that in. Ooh, well, I moved it a little bit. Yeah, just be careful. See, I wasn't paying attention, but I was shifting the thing, and I don't have any to fold over on the end, but my edge is covered, so I'm not gonna worry about it. Can make anything, can make it work. See, there's my oopsie for today. I wasn't paying attention. So I'll fold over as much as I can up into this little corner. Look at that, how pretty. So put a little bit of tape, a little bit of liquid glue in the middle, and then this is gonna go on. I don't know why I put it in the middle. I forgot I cut this label out. So don't put glue in the middle. See, every class you get a don't do what Gina does, right? It's a learning lesson. So just don't put, if you put glue on already, don't put it down on a surface. And get glue everywhere. So if I would have done that, I would have gotten glue everywhere. So bring in your card base, petunia pop again. Now you can put glue everywhere. There we go. And actually, this was a card that I copied from the holiday catalog. Let's see if I can find it. I love taking samples, whether off of Pinterest or and just making it your own. Let me see. I know it's in here, you guys. right here, this card right here. So this is the card that we are copying, is this one, and I'm just taking it and making a little different spin on it to make it my own. Margaret, you say you get a better image that I switch to the white ink pad with Memento. Absolutely. There's something about, the Memento is more of a cloth pad, where the white craft ink pad is a foam, and definitely get a crisper, clearer image with that. But if you don't have that ink pad and you got Secret Sea, I can tell you, you can use that in place of black. It's beautiful. Okay, so now these strips are just gonna lay across the top of your card like that. So you're gonna have just a little bit of your iridescent bag showing through. And I think the iridescent bag shows up just a little bit more, having done our little shrinky dink technique. There we go. And then, time to stamp our kitty and our broom. And like I was telling Sandy earlier, if you don't have, you guys get a rectangle piece of white paper, and you can, if you have another Halloween stamp set at home, you can use that instead of this stamp set. Okay, and this is what I like to do when I already have my images cut out. I ink it up, lay my image over the top, and my fingers are actually touching, kind of nestling the stamp, and then I'm able to just press down. And there we go. Look at that beautiful, crisp image you get. And then we need the broom. Okay, so we use Petunia Pop. Some Smoky Slate, some Timid Tiger, and a little bit of Pretty in Pink. And I didn't bring a yellow, so borrow one from Christine. So we're going to use the yellow on our broom. And I'm using, let's see. Oh, this is Mango Melody. We don't even have this one anymore. But that was, I liked using that color, but at home I use Crushed Curry. So the inside of our ears are pink along with our little nose. And I'm going through with my light blend. And then I will go through with my dark blend and add just a little bit of, I always say it's like adding dimension. Now I usually like to use by brush end, but some of mine are older and the brush end is not as good anymore. And then I like to go back over with my light and soften that dark line. Okay, and then we're gonna bring in our light and color our pretty dress here. Then I'm going to add just a little bit of dark. Just to add that. I like using the light and the dark. If you don't like to color, sometimes it's easier if you just use one or the other just to get your coloring done. But I think by adding light and dark, you add dimension to your image. So I'm using the light Timid Tiger here. I'm going to take my color lifter and just add and remove some of that color there to lighten up. Then I'm going to take my dark and add some stripes. Our striped socks here are going to be dark, and our little shoes are going to be dark petunia, and then I'll put a little orange stripe in the middle. We'll add our wink of Stella. Okay, so now you have this and your little strip here. We're gonna stamp Trick or Treat. On our strip of Petunia Pop. And we're going to take our scissors and cut each word apart. Hello, my crafty adventures. You are new here. Well, welcome. We are working on our October technique class, and it features the iridescent bags in different ways to use them beyond just a bag. So, okay, so we've cut our pieces apart. We're going to take our tear tape and some of that really pretty Petunia Pop iridescent ribbon. I flipped my label over. I just realized Annette must be gone. I had company for a while, and she must be all done stacking things. So we're just going to weave this back and forth in the middle. But make sure your tear tape is back there. I turned my circle and it's going the other way. Oh, I'm having a problem making a clean edge this morning. Okay, we're gonna leave it before it gets worse, and I don't have any ribbon left. Okay, so now we're gonna bring our card base in. Add our dimensionals. This one is staying on the sheet, okay. So this will go about the center. You could do it off to the side if you want. Pop up our kitty. Got a hot mess going on. Hopefully I didn't lose any of my words. I almost cut my finger off. Scissors are dangerous, look out. And to think they let me use scissors on a daily basis. Okay. So we've got our adorable little kitty. Let's see, do I have any little... I don't have any tiny dimensionals left. So I'm going to put a little tiny one on the bottom that I just used. Off of my bottom of my strip of dimensionals. I think this needs to go up higher. So put that up higher so that your broom is actually on your page. I put a dot of glue up at the top of my broom so it's attached to our hand. Okay. And here are our words, trick or treat. Oh, found a few small ones. How many of you use black dimensionals? I'll be honest, I forget to use them, and I wanted to use them on the bats and the spider, and I pulled them out so that I didn't forget to use them. So they are your best friend when using dark things. And then I should have a bat around here, but he might have fell out of my kit. I had things fall out of my bag, so we'll see, but your finished card is going to look like this. So you're going to tuck a little bat up there, and we're going to finish off with some of our beautiful stars. The only thing I will say is you do have to be a little bit careful when picking up these stars because they're foam. I've had a few where I've turned it into just a ball versus a star. It loses its shape. So just be careful when you pick them up. And then on the inside, I think I'm going to put a little broom. Down there. We're going to bring in that Happy Halloween again. So you use yours all the time. I think I put them in my drawer and I don't keep them out. And I think if I kept them out, I would use them more. But like I said, they're in the drawer. They get tucked away and I completely forget about them. So keep them out so that you do use them because they come in extremely handy. We're going to bring the bats in again because I love these little bats. Stamp that up there. Bring our blend in and color our broom. I actually felt a little kind of naked this morning. The last week or so, all my classes, I have needed so many things between the buffet and the samplers and that. I only had 2 bins to bring today, where like Saturday when I came, I had 2 bags full of stuff and plus extra bags. So I felt very like I was forgetting stuff. So I think I have everything today. But anyway, so here is card number 2. Like I said, you're going to tuck that little bat up there. Like that. All right. Our third card, we're going to make a shaker card. Who loves to make a shaker card? I love making shaker cards. And this one is super, super easy. So you'll need 1 full treat bag for this one. I'm going to clean up my mess just a little bit. We're going to use Frankenstein here, or Frankenpup. This is really Frankenpup. And there is a little pumpkin. Why can I not think of the word? The candy, where you put the candy when you say trick or treat, your little candy bucket. Okay, and then we also need this piece here. Now, like I said before, if you don't have this piece to stamp your Gorgeous Grape label, you could sponge some Gorgeous Grape on your white. If you have a different background stamp, you could stamp it on that. If you have another stamp set that has bats or spiders, you could stamp that on that, or just emboss this piece. So that one will come in white. Oops, and then I grabbed the wrong one. Great tips like always, keeping, now Chris has these. We're really lucky to have Chris. She gets these 3D printed, and we can purchase these on our team. And this is a nice little caddy that we can keep everything. And I know this one's an older style, but she's changed it up a little bit where we can keep our bone folders, our glue, our tape runner, your Wink of Stella, your take your pick tool. All of these fit in this really nice caddy. So it's really nice, and I just keep that on my desk with my blocks, and we're good to go. Okay, so let's pull all these pieces. Carmen, what workshop are we doing for the October workshop class? We are doing Now, I always get the name mixed up, but I think it's Spooky Sweet or a Spooky Sweet Halloween workshop kit. So for those of you that don't know, I also do scrapbooking. I love to scrapbook. So I take our scrapbook workshop kits and I create alternatives to our workshop kits. So instead of making the kit as it comes, we do 6 alternative pages, and with the leftovers we make 5 cards. And then you still have plenty extra left over to create more stuff. And that is always a product-based class, so that when you need to place an order with me, and then you get an additional kit from me. So I include extra die cut pieces, gems, ribbon, some more cardstock. You get your bases and envelopes for the cards that we create. Anything else that you need to create the pages and the cards, I make an additional kit and then I send that to you. So you do need to either order the kit in that order, or if you have that kit already, you can just order $70. So this kit is $70. The previous kit we did was Lovely Florals. That kit was a little more expensive, so that one was a $75 order. This month it's a $70 order. So get your orders in. I haven't designed them yet, but that class I believe is the weekend. For us here, it would be Halloween weekend. We do trick-or-treating the weekend before Halloween here. So I believe it's the 24th and 25th, okay? So here's our little shaker. And what you're gonna do, you have a piece of Timid Tiger here. Now you can put any color you want in here. Like we've been putting the iridescent bag over white. You could do black behind it. You could do Secret Sea. You could do purple. You could do whatever you wanted. We're using Timid Tiger, and I really feel that the Timid Tiger just pops. And now we are going to take, so I just slid that piece of paper inside of my iridescent bag. I have a loose star. We're going to use that. And we are using the loose shaker elements. Carmen, do I still have the floral one available? Yes, and that one's a $75 order. If you place your order by Friday, I can get the floral one shipped out in the October kit with Christine. And we're just going to take some of these. So you'll get a little baggie full of these. I'm going to dump them because I'm spilling them everywhere. And you're just filling the front of your bag like this, okay? That's all you do. You've now made a shaker card. So now all we do is we take and flip this over like this. So I have done these shaker cards for forever. I will use Stampin' Up! Sells clear envelopes, and I use those to make shakers, and this is exactly how I do it. I just stick a mat in there, or you could emboss this, you could put pattern paper in them, whatever you want, and then fold over your edges. And this makes a simple, easy shaker card. Okay, the easiest shaker card you'll ever make. And I'm just gonna add tear tape to adhere it to our card base. You could probably add liquid glue if you wanted to. I just don't want it to be sliding around as I'm putting my card together, so we're just gonna use tear tape here. Okay, we gotta burnish our edges. Now, the reason why we burnish our edges of our card is, look how my card pops up like that. So when you burnish your edges, look how much flatter your card stays. Look at this. So here's your shaker. They're all in there just like that. This goes in the center of your black mat or your black card base. There we go. Look at that. Da, 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 da. I love the magic of a shaker card. Okay, time to ink up. We're bringing in some gorgeous grape. Bring my label in. And like I do with my other things, I just set it above and then I press down. Bring in our secret C and we will stamp Frankie here. And he's ready to go trick-or-treating. And there we go. Oops. I must have not stamped him quite right. So you know what? We're gonna cheat. And I didn't press him down on the top. So I'm missing part of the top, right? I'm gonna take my Stampin' Right marker, or you could use a blend. Now we no longer are gonna be selling our Stampin' Right markers. So I just filled it in where I didn't stamp. So like I said, you can use your blend. The Stampin' Right markers are on the last chance list. So if you like Stampin' Right markers, get them before they're gone. And this odd shaped piece that'll be in your kit is our cute little pumpkin. Okay, so now these two get layered on top of each other, and there should be, I cut the strips last night, ay, 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 and put them in kits. I know I did, but anyways, there's a white piece of woven ribbon that goes across the center here. So you're gonna have your black label here. You're going to have your white ribbon, and then this label will go on top of it. Okay, time to color our cute little dude. So we have Highland Heather. We do not make a gorgeous grape blend. And we have Granny Apple Green. and our Timid Tiger. So our Timid Tiger, we're going to color our lollipop. So I always start with my light. That is just kind of how I do it. You could start with your dark and then go with your light. This is just what works for me. Then I'll go through and add in some of those darker and then I go back with my light and just kind of soften that line. Just, oops, just a little bit. Keeping a little bit lighter in the center. And then we're going to go down here and I'm going to color one of his little stripes, the light granny apple, and then down here I'll color one the dark color. Then we go in with our light Highland Heather. I color my shirt, and then I'll go through and add in that dark. So I'll color the stripes dark, and then where I would think, so where I put my dark is where I always feel like there would be a shadow. And then I'm going to use the dark one to color just his shorts. And you always want to color on something on a piece of scratch paper because this does bleed through like this. So always keep that in mind too when you're coloring with your blends. Now, I know there are rules as far as, or, you know, do you use Memento ink? When do you use StazOn? I never use StazOn. 100% admit that I do not use StazOn. I don't feel that you need it. They say you should use StazOn when doing watercoloring and when you're doing, with blends, you should use Memento. Now you guys saw I stamped in Secret C, and I don't get any bleeding from that. So I guess I've never had an issue, so I continue to stamp like that. But they do say that you should use one to do, you know, the StazOn should be used when watercoloring. I use Memento when I watercolor. Okay, we've got 2 bats here. And we're gonna have 2 webs. This was a discussion we had, I forget what class Christine was on. I actually got to catch, I think it was last week's class, we were discussing this. And she had thought that that's what I did because I do a lot of coloring. And I said, I do not. I don't ever use my Stays On. The only time I ever really used my Stays On, I found that my Stays On ink gives that really nice black crisp image, and that's when I would use Stays On. Now, another place to use Stays On, you could stamp on these bags. Now remember, they are a little slippery, and Stays On ink works really great to stamp on this. So my girlfriend runs a cookie business, and she uses cello bags to package up her stuff. And she had asked me, what would you use? And I would use Stays On if you were going to stamp on a surface like window sheets, acetate, the cellophane. That is where I would use my Stays On ink. If you use our regular ink or you use Memento, it's just going to smear on a glossy surface like this. So that is where I would use Stays On ink. But as far as coloring goes, I don't ever use it. But on any type of, at one time we had glossy paper, you would want to use Stays On ink on that. Okay, so now we have everything here, and I forgot to mention, not only do you put the ribbon down, but you tuck your spider webs into the corners here. So just make sure you don't glue your edges down too far before you put them down. So we're gonna pop up our label. Does anyone have any questions in regards to Memento versus Stays On? Or do you use one versus the other to do your projects? And that's just the way that I do things. That doesn't mean that that's the way that you have to do them, but I find that is what works best for me. And like I said, if Stampin' Up! Was here, they would tell you to use your Stays On when watercoloring. But I don't do that, so shh. Now I'm just tucking in these in the corner. I need to lift this up just a little bit. So that goes like that. We gotta put our boo on. And this one I just glued on. I didn't pop this one up. I love how this pops on this gorgeous grape. So a few weeks ago, when I started this boot camp, I challenged some of you guys. I'm just curious if any of you did that challenge. Our very first challenge was to clean our craft space. Did anyone do that? Like I said, for the most part, my room gets pretty tidy most of the time. It does get out of control as we are kind of like in between catalogs and stuff like that, and I'm pulling product, and or I've got a pile of tutorials to write, LOL. And it's amazing how much easier it is when you don't have, I call them towers of Pisa, falling down on you. Not that I don't, like if you guys saw my workspace here right now, it's a hot mess, but I usually between doing projects, I will clean up my space. So did anyone go through and do that? So those black dimensionals again, perfect for these bats. So those go on like that. And this gets tucked in right there on his hand. So there we go. You guys made a shaker card. Isn't he cute? I just love him. Now, we bring this in. We said boo. I think we're going to say trick or treat on this one. And we'll do that in Gorgeous Grape. Like that. We're going to bring in those bats because I love the bats. There's the bats. And then I think I'm going to stamp our little jack-o'-lantern down here, and I'll color him in Granny Apple. And don't forget to do your envelopes. Ta-da! So I don't have no little kids anymore to send stuff to, but I do like to send this out. So all my kids and, you know, my godchildren and nieces and nephews are all teenagers now. So what I like to do is I will give them a Halloween card, and then sometimes I put a little $5 gift card in there, or I will put a little treat with it or something like that. So that is what I like to do with my Halloween things. Even though the kids are older, they still like to get little things like that. So there we go. Like I said, this is where that ribbon would go. I didn't have the ribbon, but this is it without the ribbon. And we did not put any stars on, but you could put stars on if you wanted to. I figured the shakers were enough to do that. Those were our embellishment for that card. Okay, so our little treat box here. And I will tell you, at first I was kind of panicked because I wanted to show you that something was in the box. And of course I do this stuff last minute. I don't always have my cards done, you know, way in advance. And I had no candy in my house. Can you believe that? I have teenagers and there's no candy in my house. Needless to say, they probably ate whatever candy we had. But we made some cookies this past weekend, or I should say Bella did. So this little box, you could put Kit Kats in, or, you know, any of those fun size bars work perfect in this. I had a chocolate chip cookie, so we put a chocolate chip cookie in this bag, and then it slides right in our little box. Like I said, any of the fun size bars would fit perfect in this. You could fill this bag with some candy corn, or like a Chex Mix or something like that. So that just tucks in right inside of our cute little box. So let's make our box. You're going to have a piece of black. I will have them all scored for you, but I will show you how we score them on here. So make sure that you have your cutting blade out of the way if you have the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. We're going to score at 1. Three and a half. 4 and a half. And we got to bring our arm out and score at 7. Okay, and that's on the long side. You're going to flip this over and score at 1 inch on the short side. Okay, so now, I don't know if you guys can tell, I have about a 1/2 inch strip on this side here and that inch over here. So you got your inch, a larger panel, your inch, a larger panel, and then we have our thin strip here. You're gonna take, and we're gonna omit this quarter piece, and then you're gonna go into this bottom piece and just angle like that, okay? So that piece is gonna come off. And then your 2 1-inch pieces, you're gonna cut on those score lines and then angle those. So you're just making more of a tab. And the same thing on the end piece here. You're gonna cut in on an angle right to your corners here. And that's it to making this box pretty much. Really simple box to make. Where is my bone folder? You guys must just sit there and laugh at me because I lose stuff. How do you lose stuff when you're working right in front of yourself? I want to know how that happens. Here it is. It's just under my markers. See, this is why I got to clean up all the time. So you're going to burnish all of your edges. Then fold these all in. Okay, now you're going to take and put a little bit of liquid glue or tear tape on that 1/2 inch strip. You're going to fold these tabs here, these 1-inch tabs, those are going to go up. You're going to fold. So both of them are going on the inside of your box here. I don't know if this is easier, better lighting. So your tabs are up here. They're going to go in like this. And you're going to line up your panel Make sure your edges are flush. So I just unfolded this so I could reach my fingers in and make sure that it was flush. Now you're going to take your end pieces. These are your end pieces. Fold them in. Now my seam for my box is back here. So I want to make sure that this seam goes in the same direction. And with my seams in both going this way, this is going to be the back of my box. Okay, so this is the front of my box. My seams are pointed up here, so this is the back of my box. So you're going to have 2 panel pieces and 2 side pieces. One for the front, one for the back. How many of you like to make projects like this? I love to do gift giving like this. So like I was saying before, I might give one of these boxes to all the kids along with a card for Halloween. Okay, and then these go on the sides. And you could put one on the bottom, but I left the bottom blank. I figure you're not going to see the bottom, so save the DSP for where you're gonna see it. Okay, so there's our box. Here's our seam. So that's the back of our box. Now, you've got 2 bats. So I didn't find my other bat. Your house and a fence. So bring in your Stella. Mine's running out of go-go juice. Need to add a little bit of, if you add a little bit of rubbing alcohol to these, so you can take the cover off. And you can take this black piece off. Okay, I won't take it apart, I'll probably make a mess. And then you can add a little bit of rubbing alcohol inside of there, and that will give you a little extra boost. Let your Stella go a little bit further. Okay, and then you have this little white piece here. This is going to get all, no tricks, all treats. I have that on a block already. Where did it go? Here we go. So in Gorgeous Grape. And now it's just adding all these on in layers. So I'm going to just pop up my house a little bit on the top, and I'll glue the bottom down. Taking those dimensionals off is a whole lot easier when you don't cut your nails down. So I'm going to leave a little bit of the orange on the bottom coming through. Glue our fence down. And that's going to go right over the top of our house. And then our label will go at the top, and you might have to tuck it under your house just a little bit, like that. And we're making use of those black dimensionals, right? Put some on our bats. And one will go up here in the corner, and the other one will go right here on the corner of our house. And that is how easy that box is to put together. So then you'll get a piece of twine, and then you just tie your bag with twine and fill it with treats. And then look how that just slides right in to our box like that. Super simple and easy. So you can fill it with whatever goodies you have at home. So that is our 4 projects for the technique class. Kits are available to order. If anybody really wants their kits delivered next week, I would have to know by Friday. Otherwise, I keep this open for about a week. So here are our cards for today. And our one project. So different ways to use these gorgeous bags. Let's see, what else do I have? Like I said, if anyone wants anything delivered in the October kit with Christine's stuff, I need to know everything by Friday. So if anybody wants these, I know a couple of you mentioned, I'll have to go back through the comments, but always try to send me an email or a message through Facebook if you want anything while we're going live and you're telling me things, because sometimes I can't always go back and read all the comments. I try to, but sometimes I can't get the comments to pop up too. So always send me an email or a message or text me, whichever, if you want something, either today's kit or any of the past kits or a future kit. Like I said, I will be, I believe Chris moved her shipping date up to Monday. So I need to get everything to her by Sunday to get it shipped. Those of you who ordered samplers, I will get back to you on the shipping for those. The shipping cost is going to be a little bit more than normal because we're shipping a 12 by 12 paper, so it's going to be a little bit more than your normal standard shipping. And for those of you who are new, I ship with Christine. A lot of our customers overlap, so anyone who gets kits from Christine or we try to reduce the shipping costs so you can get more stamping, right? So that's what we do. And like I said, I do have a couple of these kits left. I have the fall card buffet. So you'll make all 6 of these cards. Or I have a couple of the Christmas the buffet that we just did also. So otherwise, all orders are open for about a week, so we'll go till next week, Wednesday. Wednesday next week is the 15th. So the 15th, I'm in-house here in the Hive. We will be doing Halloween bingo. So the cost for that is $27. So if you want to join me in person in the Hive, we play 6 games of bingo. Our final game is Blackout, where you get to win a gift certificate. So you get a little bit of goodies. You win prizes. We make 2 cards, and they'll be Halloween themed this time. So mark your calendars for next week, Wednesday. Otherwise, I think that's it for now. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me today and stamping with me. And I think I'm not live now until the 24th, but watch my Facebook page. That's where I keep all my events. So that is where you guys can find me. So thanks again. Have a great day.